Hello and welcome, Exiles, to look at a 10 Divine Righteous Fire Inquisitor. Now, normally in the 10 Divine Challenge, I like to try out tech I haven't done before, or things that are new to me, or explore options I haven't seen. But this time I wanted to revisit something that I really love, which is Righteous Fire. And specifically, I noticed something that I haven't really done a Righteous Fire build that is budget in any form in over a year almost, and that just feels kind of wrong. I think it's mostly because I haven't league started Righteous Fire. I've been league starting some other things like Energy Blade Inquisitor and just been kind of try-harding, when reality is I really love Righteous Fire and I league started a lot, but I just haven't done that recently. And so I decided I'd put together what I think is a good way to build a Righteous Fire build on a very tight budget, 10 Divines. Now, full disclosure, the way I approached this is I decided I was going to do Blunderbore in combination with the Goal and lean into some HP scaling along with Corrupted Soul through the replica Soul Tether belt. So we end up with about 9,000 life and about 2,700 ES. So we get a big EHP pool, which makes our Righteous Fire give us a decent amount of base damage. Now, full disclosure, after having built this character, I have some things I would probably change going forward. Number one is, I think I'd probably go in Atula's, the 1,000 HP chest that requires you not to have life on gear. And all that would mean is I would take the items like this ring that has 38 flat life, I'd get rid of the flat life. I'd take this amulet, I'd get rid of the flat life. I'd take this helmet, I'd swap it for a helmet that doesn't have flat life. And then for the gloves and the boots, I would swap out the regen rate and the life. Now, what does this do? Number one is it gets us a lot more flat than we currently have. If you actually add up all the flat we have between these pieces, it's not that much. The advantage of Blunderbore is it gives you about 40% life on top of not counting as a life mod, because the lesser massive shrine does not count as a life tag. So that allows you to go all the life masteries and still benefit from the 15% life on top of getting like 40%-ish life when you consider the Goal combined with Blunderbore combo. It's a decent amount of percent life, but compared to the amount of flat life we're missing out on, I still think Atula's is probably better. And number two is it allows you to get a lot more damage pushed into your build, because when you drop all these life mods on your gloves and your boots and your helmet and your ring and stuff, that allows you to be a little bit more picky about getting more damage while also not spending that much money. Because when you take a search for decent boots and you take life out of the equation, all of a sudden you can get better mods. Like, for example, this boots has life regenerate, lightning res, life, and strength. That's like a 4-mod boot. But then if you take away life, you could replace that with something like chaos res, and you take away your life regenerate, you could probably swap for something like chaos res, and you could swap flat life for something like better movement speed, and then maybe you could craft on like a cannot be frozen. That would allow you to maybe swap Brine King for a more defensive Ascendancy Pantheon like Solaris that gives you basically close to crit immunity when doing a map that has a crit roll on it, stuff like that. And that also allows for things where you could buy like a okay-ish fracture, use like an Essence of Horror, hit dot multi and like one other okay res, and you'd still be done, you'd be fine, you'd be capping your res, and you'd be getting more damage out of it. Not only that, I also for this character went for the example of a very cheap adorned setup. I wanted to showcase that even if you don't have a lot of money, there's this misconception that adorned is for a very expensive character, and that's just not true. You could have even a bad adorned, like a 100% roll, and you'd still worth using by a pretty large margin compared to your other options. You got to remember, if you're on a budget, it's not like you're getting a 4-mod rare jewel. You're getting like an okay-ish 3-mod rare jewel. So if you're thinking about that context of what is the opportunity cost here of, with this amount of money, what could I buy? And if the thing you could buy is maybe an okay 3-mod, compare that to a bad adorned, like 100% roll, or even like an 80% roll, and the adorned is still more efficient because it's getting you more value for your jewel slot, and that would allow you to buy basically bad roll mods, etc. And another thing I want to point out here is I actually had a lot of res on my jewels, and that's because I was forcing regen rate on my gear. If I do that Atula swap, I get more res on my gear, and that allows me to get more percent damage and dot multi on my jewels, which then ups the damage. The biggest problem with this character ended up being single target. I have about, I think, 1 million to 2 million single target. We did 4 out of 7 Ubers. I failed Maven. That's mainly a skill issue. I was so frustrated with myself. I should never be failing Maven on this character if I play it correctly. I messed up 2 memory games, and it just felt real stupid. But besides the point, the biggest weakness this character had was damage. It was by far and away the tankiest character I played, much tankier than the other 2 builds I've played, but it just lacked a bit of single target, and swapping to Atula's I think will raise the HP number and allow us to get more DPS on our gear. The loss being a bit of our net recovery, but I think the recovery will still be good because when you raise the life pool, your net regen actually goes up if you have a net positive in terms of like how much regen you have over your net degen. When you raise up the life, technically the amount of net recovery you have goes up and the enemy's damage doesn't change. So I think it would still end up being just a much better setup with a Tula. So I just wanted to point that out. Anyway, so cheap adorned, when you're going for magic jewels, I have a 104%. I bought this for like 50 or 70 chaos, something like that. And then I stuck to buying basically 20 to 30 C jewels. And these are just magic jewels with like life and res or damage or life strength. I needed that to get myself enough strength for Blunderbore. I will say this, if I drop Blunderbore, that gives us another advantage in that we drop these strength nodes here and you can reallocate those towards life or damage. And I also want to point out, if we drop Blunderbore, you might be thinking, oh, but we're going to lose a bunch of AoE. I don't think it's really that bad because I'm going to have to cut this for going to help this guy mirror this item. So give me 1 second. Over 800D. It's for mirror service, not for sale. If you want, it's no fee to mirror. All right, cutting back to the video. What I was saying is essentially you drop Blunderbore, and what I'd probably recommend is dropping all these life masteries and reallocate them to life points, and then reallocate them also to AoE nodes here, and probably the AoE nodes here. I still think you'd end up with a higher HP pool. I would have to actually like go and set it up, but I theoretically believe that will be the case, given our gear isn't particularly strong in that regard. One thing you have to remember is if you do have a setup where you have, you're going to Tulas, the main thing you have to remember is you have to corrupt off the flat life mod on Dawnbreaker, but that should be easy enough to just find a brick Dawnbreaker and just roll with it. Anyways, that is the TLDR on the character. We went for a very cheap adorned setup, stack a bunch of life, stack some ES, get some regen on Inquisitor, and just go tanky with it. Ultimately, if you want to go for more single target, this is just a personal thing I don't like. Fire Trap, it's just better single target. If you do a Righteous Fire, a Tula's setup, you can easily go for like a 1 damage mod helmet or a 2 damage mod helmet, stick in Fire Trap, drop Scorching Ray, and you'll probably have more single target. But personally, myself, I just don't like, I like having a laser beam, and that's my own personal preference. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into a Chimera map, and I give you a little showcase of what this looks like doing a Chimera. And then, yeah. This is just one of those things where it's like, I haven't done a Righteous Fire build cheap, and I haven't, or not cheap. I've done Righteous Fire builds cheap. I haven't done it cheap recently. It's been over a year since I did a reasonably priced Righteous Fire. Now I'm gonna go ahead and not pick up any of these, what's it called? Did I ever get Val Righteous Fire? No, I had Val Righteous Fire the entire time. Oh, I feel real stupid right now, because this character has a bunch of regen. Val Righteous Fire would have been a nice damage increase, but I kind of just forgot about it. Like, look at our regen on this character. Val Righteous Fire. The thing about Val Righteous Fire is you have to be on a character that kind of has some decent regen, so that way if you click it, it's not a scenario where it just kind of gets you killed. And this character would have actually fit that description. I just completely forgot I had it. So that's putting me through some regrets right now, because that would have made a lot of the boss fights I did actually easier. Given it's a nice damage boost considering how much we're leaning into HP and ES scaling, and I just completely forgot it existed. So I feel a little silly right now. Anyways, as I was saying, I haven't done a cheap Righteous Fire build recently, and I wanted to showcase my take, or what I would do if I was doing a character on more of a budget. If I was looking for a league start, this is the sort of gearing I would probably go for. And these are the sorts of, I guess, approach I would take. Defensively, offensively, etc. Offensively, I'd recommend Fire Trap. Offensively, though, when I play the game, I just like Scorching Ray. It's a personal thing. And yeah, this is pretty much it. I really like Righteous Fire. I think going forward, We'll see what I end up planning for next league. I've been doing some tryhard league starts, but it would be nice to do Righteous Fire again. We'll have to see what they give us in terms of like new skills and stuff, but if they give us some fun stuff to work with, it would be pretty enjoyable to do. Oh. That was a bad use of my Righteous Fire. Oh, whatever. Anyways, if they give us a some interesting stuff to do with Righteous Fire, it'd be really fun to league start. I haven't done it in a hot minute. But we'll see. You never know what the next league's gonna be. It's still 2 months away, so we're not gonna get teasers for a while. Well, not 2 months. It's like a month and a half. I think the league start's gonna be July 26th, based on them saying late July. Next build I'm gonna be working on is a what's it called? It's a Toxic Rain Ballista character. And I have some decent ideas for doing Soul of Ascension and Wilma's, and we'll see how it turns out. But that'll be the next character. And I think overall, I wanted to do at least 4 to 7 Tendy builds. So we'll see after this Wilma's character if I feel like doing another one, or if I want to start another longer project to, like, you know, get hardcore run or something like that. I don't know if I'll actually end up doing something like that, but I'll think about it. Okay, he wants to run away. Outrageous Fire and finish them off. That's what it looks like. This is my choice of how I would build RRF character. I would go Inquisitor. If I was trying to do it on a budget, I'd go RRF Inquisitor. I'd go for a cheap Adorned. I'd go for life, percent, fire damage, burn damage, fire dot multi, whatever, life with one of those mods. I would probably recommend Tulas over Blunderbore. Reallocate some of the strength nodes and some of the life masteries into getting AoE nodes and more life. And more basic percent life nodes. And then I would lean a bit heavier into trying to get higher DPS on my gear. For example, a ring where I bought this, I tried to get a ring that had some life on, some res on. Maybe I'd look for a cheap Fracture and then do an Essence of Horror to put on dot multi. Stuff like that, I would start keeping my eyes open for. Anyways, this is the Righteous Fire Inquisitor. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. As always, thanks for watching, Exiles. Take care and peace out.